Stop making videos that look like a security camera. If you're trying to make gym videos that look good, watch the other video. This video is more on the technical side of things. If you have a legit camera and you're wanting to understand exactly what to do when you turn the thing on, because I'm sure a lot of people don't even know what to do when they turn on the camera. It's like foreign to them. That was me at some point. I feel like after doing this for about 9 years, I kind of have a good understanding of how the camera works, what the settings mean, and how to get everything set up. So this video is about understanding the basic settings to get going right away, and then a little bit of the gear that you'll want to use if you're taking this to the gym. First thing you need to understand is the exposure triangle: shutter speed, ISO, and aperture. Not in that order. Let's start with aperture. Aperture is literally the iris of the lens that lets in light. Now, if you bought a camera and it came with a kit lens, you know, that 15 to 45 or whatever, something along those lines, usually they're not very great at letting a lot of light in. And usually they start at like f4 something. You're gonna have an F number on your screen somewhere. That's the aperture. This lens is an f1.4, so it lets a lot of light in. What that also does is creates quite a bit of blur in the background. Personally, I like that, and I would highly recommend getting a prime lens. A prime lens is one that doesn't zoom. Highly recommend getting a prime lens because usually they let in a lot more light and they create more depth of field like this, more blur in the background. I love that look. Just me, don't hate me for it. I just like that look, okay? There's zoom lenses out there that let a lot of light in too, and that create good blur, but I'm just a prime guy. Leave me alone. All right, that's aperture. Now you need to understand ISO. ISO is just, think of it like the artificial light that a camera can create. Nowadays, cameras are really good at handling ISO. What I mean by handling ISO is when you crank it up really high, you start to introduce more noise into the image. We don't like noise, so whatever you can do to have as little noise as possible, do that. But you can crank them pretty high. Depending on what scene you're in, if it's really dark and you just don't have any other options, you can crank it up a little bit. Just be aware that the higher your ISO is, the more noise you're gonna have in the image. Okay, that's ISO. Now, last thing you need to understand is shutter speed. When it comes to video, I'm not talking about photography here, just video. When you have your camera, like I said in the previous video, 24 frames per second creates this nice motion blur. The reason the motion blur looks this good is because the shutter speed is double what the frame rate is. So we're shooting at 24 frames per second. My shutter speed is 1/50. Whatever frame rate you're at, you need to have your shutter speed at double what that is. So if we're shooting 24, it needs to be 1/48 technically, but a lot of cameras don't do that. So 1/50 to make it easy. If you're shooting 60 frames per second, 1/120, and so on. Keep it double, makes it look the most natural. All right, that's the exposure triangle. Make sure you understand that clearly. Get that dialed in with whatever setting you're in, good to go. Now let's talk about some of the gear that you're gonna need. I like to keep it very simple, very light. That's just what I like to do. I don't want this to be a hassle for me. I wanna enjoy doing it, and I want the process to be very easy to get set up and going and shooting quick. If I have a whole bunch of gear, it just takes away the fun out of it for me, and I don't like to do it. It just kills it for me. First things first. Since this is assuming that you have your camera already, make sure you have a good tripod to have your camera on. You want a good tripod. You don't have to spend a fortune on them. You can, because you know they get really expensive. They get kind of crazy these days. But what I like to use for this stuff, keep it light and keep it fairly sturdy. You don't want your camera falling off, obviously. Me personally, I like these newer tripods. They do great. K&F Concept makes some that are very similar. Newer tripods that have decent heads on them, and make sure they have the flap that extends the legs down, because you can just flip them all and they just fall down. Makes it very fast to get set up. Make sure you get the ones with the flap, because the ones that twist suck. Just take my word for it, they suck. After the tripod, make sure you have a good lens. A lot of the new lenses nowadays are pretty good, but like I said, in my opinion, I like primes, and I use on a full frame camera, we're not getting too technical, but on a full frame camera for everything, literally everything, this lens right here, the Sigma 35mm 1.4 art lens, does everything for me. All my gym videos are shot on this. If I ever need a tighter lens, I'll get an 85mm. But like I said, I'm a prime guy, I like my prime lenses. The Sigma 35 literally is 95% of everything I shoot. I love this lens. It's super sharp, lets in a lot of light at f1.4. Creates a very nice looking blurry background. You'll learn over time, different lenses create blur differently. And some of them don't look all that nice, which sounds kind of crazy, but you just have to see it for yourself when you try different lenses and whatnot. In general, in my opinion, for gym content, 35mm and 50mm. By the way, if you hear something in the background, I have my son. Nothing I can do about that. He's just gonna be back there doing his thing, playing. I have a YouTube channel with him also. He's a disabled little boy that I take, anyway. All right, that's it. Understand the exposure triangle, get things going with that, get your gear ready, have a decent tripod, probably good to go. This is just stuff that I've learned over the years. I feel like after 9 years of doing this, I have some decent understanding. Okay, I've talked enough. That's it. Let me know what I should cover next. Video number 2 done.